Yes.
I hate you. Are you, by the way?
I got to sit with that. So it's oncoming.
As long as I don't get sick tonight or tomorrow. It's after tonight and tomorrow.
Luncheon, garlic. So all two a day. I already ate one this morning.
That whole thing in your mouth. That's pretty much what I did.
I will do it.
It'll be awful. That's what I did on accident.
Salutations.
I love our Christmas border.
So stupid.
So festive.
BJ, why are you doing that?
Ebenezer Scrooge.
So kissing your ass and
listen,
have no intention of making me happy with bah humbugs all around.
I thought the lower lighting would be better because I don't have all my makeup on yet today, and I don't know if it's helping.
Okay.
Could we put a filter on? BJ, could we put like a Snapchat
filter we are authentic.
on?
We are authentic here. How we look is how we look.
Yep.
You're going to carry the show today for sure.
Great.
What do you want to talk about first?
Should we just dive right into what I was trying to pick your brain about earlier?
Well, this is good. And that's why I said, let's go early because we're not even in the 9 o'clock hour yet. But
my watch says 9 on the dot. That says 9. That's always off a little bit. We're good. We're right on time.
All right. So what?
All right. I'm wigging out. Like I'm wigging out. Yeah. Have you ever been so nervous to do something that like, I don't even call it nervous. I call it scared. Yeah. Like I'm terrified.
You should be.
I have to sing later in front of a lot of people. And I've never done that unless I was in a group. Like I'm in a group of people. Nobody hears me. I'm blending in. I'm good to go. And I don't even have to sing a whole song all by myself, but I do have to lead it. So most of it is by myself. And I'm effing terrified. Like shaking, heart racing, sick to my stomach.
Yeah, that is amazing. You do your best work.
Sure doesn't feel amazing.
You do your best work when you're nervous, when you have doubt, when you are questioning whether or not you are the right imposter for the job.
I don't know if I agree with that in this instance because it is so funny. Everyone's like, you get up in front of people all the time, and I do. Like if I have to speak to a crowd, I'm okay. If I have to give a speech or a presentation, I'm okay. A little nervous, but not bad. I can do it. But if it's singing in front of someone, right. I don't have confidence in that. I don't feel like I'm a great singer. And I have done it before in a very, very small setting. And I'll hear myself back and you hear my voice trembling. Like it is noticeable how scared I am. And that to me is almost just as embarrassing as if I didn't sound good.
So, okay. I've talked to hundreds of musicians that came through the studio.
Yeah.
The number one theme with all of them is they all have imposter syndrome. So a guy that's playing the guitar, making millions of dollars per year, he gets on stage and does his thing, and the crowd is cheering. And in his brain, he's thinking, I'm not as good as they think I am. And the whole time, nationally touring artists are having the same thoughts that you are. It's part of human nature.
I've heard Barbara Streisand can't stand the sound of her own voice. And she's Barbara Streisand. But again,
it's universal.
There's imposter syndrome where, everybody says you're good at this thing and this is your natural talent and you don't feel good at it. I've not heard that. I don't think I'm great. I don't think anyone else thinks I'm great at this. I'm just good enough to be like, here's a small, teeny, tiny local church and nobody effing cares and anybody can get up and sing. And somehow I have found myself in the position to do this. And I don't think it's imposter syndrome. I don't think it's I'm good and I just have to accept that.
No.
That's not the case.
Don't think of it like that. The deal
Carter,
is
no effing way am I doing it in front of you.
So
guys.
if you came in
I'm
here
sweating.
If you came in here and said, I feel good about this, I'm going to nail it, I'm going to be a rock star, right? I would be more concerned because that would be sort of like a false, sort of false confidence going into it.
Yeah.
If you have high standards for yourself, the audience does not, right? They don't. They make they can take some liberties in being able to say, she tried her best. Now, so that's first level, is having the courage to be able to get in front of a crowd and be able to do your thing and not have so much doubt that you can't do your thing. Second thing is, and this is where you have tons of, you're already on second level, but you're questioning first level for some reason.
Whether I can get up and do it?
No, you can. Like listen, when you get in front of a microphone and you record for an audience of 10,000 radio listeners, that's the same freaking thing.
It's not. It feels totally different.
No, it is the same thing. It is a craft that you have practiced and you have confidence in. You think nothing of it by hitting record and doing your thing, right? Now, if somebody from your radio audience came up to you and said, Kelin, I listen to you all the time, and you have the worst voice I've ever heard in my life. You talk nothing but gibberish. You confuse all of your listeners, and you're absolutely terrible. I think you should become a mail lady, right?
A mail lady?
Mail lady. Yeah, you should deliver mail because you should not be on the radio.
Okay.
Now, if you have the courage to get on stage and you have the courage to weather criticism while you're on that stage, you have mastered what it means to public speak. Can you do both? Like after picture, you go through it, you sing, you're mediocre, you're okay, right?
Yeah.
But somebody after the thing is like, you know what? It's church and I was in the moment, but you were terrible. Like you should practice more. What would you say?
But if they're like, you know what, we're gonna go a different direction. Thanks for trying, but we're gonna have someone else do this.
Yeah, you have to be hungry.
I'd feel awful.
The next time that somebody offered you to do a singing part, you would eagerly accept it because that is what is spoken to you to do.
If that happened, I would probably be like, oh, okay, well then I'm not ever
talk
singing
to me
again.
Before you make that decision. And I'm going to encourage you to eat shit when it's really hard and get on to your next one because that's how you get perfect.
And you know what's funny is like, again, when I've done this before, because our group has had me lead songs more often to try to get over this fear. But again, small church. And when I'm done, I'm like, I cannot believe what I put my body through for 3 minutes. That was done in no time. Like, I cannot believe how worked up I got for what I just did. And so I'm trying to tell myself that again, but I can't. Like, I can't get my nervous system and my heart to stop and like my sweat glands to stop.
I want to impress upon you that is part of the process. That is the secret sauce that makes you great, is every time you get nervous. Every single time.
Well, somebody told me, they're like, if you're not nervous, that means you don't care.
Right.
And I do care.
Yeah. But it's not only that. If you have false confidence or you don't care, all of that's bad. If you're nervous, it's because you do care. You do question yourself. So you want to make yourself better at whatever you're doing. All of the great hallmarks of somebody who is pursuing greatness. You'll do it. You'll be great at it.
I mean, I have to do it. I've committed. I have to do it.
Yeah.
It has to get done.
So
I got to just not pass out.
Since you have some sensitivities to this in the moment,
yeah,
don't linger waiting for either compliments or criticisms. Do your thing and bail. And never listen or watch a recording of what you have done.
Gosh,
Do
yes.
neither of those things.
Oh, that's what.
Talk it up.
All of them have told me for the last thing you should do is go home and watch this. Don't do it.
Yeah.
Everybody says it sounds worse. And what's so nice, like they're very, very supportive. And anytime I've done this, everybody there is so sweet. They're like, you sounded great. You did so good. And my immediate reaction is, thank you for being nice. You're being nice. You're trying to be encouraging. I know I sounded terrified. And they'd be like, well, yeah, you've got nerves, but that was okay. And I'm like, thank you. That's all I tell myself is they're just being nice.
So I've done screenings with actors and actresses, right?
Mm-hmm.
And when you watch a movie through the eyes of what you're presenting versus the audience's acceptance of what they're being presented, right? The actors and actresses are like, I can't believe that lighting on me, or I can't believe I said it that way, or whatever. You talk to a normal person and watch that movie, and they would have never noticed the things that the actor and actresses do, because they know where they messed up. They know when the guitarist hit the wrong chord. Everybody in the audience oblivious because they're in the moment.
And one good thing is, part of me hates that I'm towards the end of service because I feel like I have to sit there and stew the whole time and just be wigging out. I almost wish I could just go in and get it done, but I am towards the end. However, it's one of those, Christmas Eve services where they get candles. I'm singing while everyone is getting their candles.
Yeah, that's perfect. Distraction.
So my pastor's like, They're busy. They're doing something. They're getting situated. No one's even going to pay attention. I'm trying to tell myself that like I'm the least important where I don't have to do the silent night part. I don't have to do that. I'm the one leading when everyone is going to be busy and looking at something else. So I'm like,
You'll do great. But let's move on.
Okay.
Let's not make the show all about you.
I hate you so much.
What's next?
It's my inside thoughts coming out again.
Go ahead. What do you want to talk about?
You sound like you're sick, Joe, which is interesting because Joe Danyi never gets sick and takes every measure possible to never get sick.
I do not get sick. I don't let things get out of hand.
So what's this we got going on this morning?
Tickle in the back of my throat.
That's it.
So leading up until the holidays, I go into my supplement regimen and I get prepared to be exposed and be around people I'm not normally, willing to.
Yeah.
Or, willing.
That was a Freudian slip right there.
Total Freudian.
Ebenezer Scrooge. I have to be around
But
people.
I still get exposure to those things. And my version of it, most of the time, like the last 3 of them, I didn't even feel any of the symptoms. Like I might feel like a cramp in my leg and be like, oh, that was the sickness that everybody else had. And then sometimes when it's thick, like it is thick right now, I felt the tickle. I went in, the garlic supplement thing even heavier
Which
than
is
normal.
Awful.
Yeah.
I've done that the wrong way.
It's the best.
Do you actually like literally get a cramp in your leg as a sickness symptom?
Well, no, you feel like a little off. You got some mental fog. You got a couple of cramps from dehydration.
Drowsy.
And that's your body keeping up with something that got introduced. And I barely ever feel it. I think maybe I would consider this as probably in the last 3 years, the most I've felt any kind of symptoms.
And how long you think they'll be gone by tomorrow?
Oh, it'll be gone by tonight.
By tonight?
Tonight. 6 hours is all it lasts for me.
Now this garlic, I feel like you should show people how much garlic is in this bag.
Yeah. So it's recommended that you have 2 cloves of garlic per day in this supplement, this regimen. And these are basically, just regular cloves of garlic. But when the plant sort of has a defense mechanism to be eaten.
Yeah.
Right. And when you crush it uncooked, by the way, this is just raw garlic.
Yeah.
And so you chew on it, it releases a chemical called allicin. And allicin is an antiviral. So when you eat it, right, it's getting into your bloodstream and it's helping your immune system by being a natural antiviral.
And it burns like hell.
It tastes really bad. And I apologize to you because I had one of these already this morning. So I probably smell of garlic.
I actually don't smell
Really?
it. Yeah.
It's my overpowering cologne. I put 4 sprays instead of
I don't
3.
smell cologne either.
What do you smell?
Nothing. Uh-oh.
Are you nose blind? The fan is in your direction. So
My
throughout the show
senses
today,
are all freaking out.
I have to eat 1 before noon and then 1.
That whole clove, do you put that whole clove in your mouth
Not-
and chew it up?
No, I take small bites.
That's what I did.
You effed up. That's not.
You know
how
what?
you're
I
supposed to
feel
do it.
like when you off the bag, I get a small sense of
I didn't
garlic.
open it yet.
All right. I do smell garlic a little
Okay,
bit.
it's me talking because I've eaten one already for today.
Smells kind of like pizza.
Yeah.
Now, Joe told me about this, maybe a year ago.
Yeah.
And I put that whole thing in my mouth at one time and
Don't-
chewed it.
It's bad.
And yeah,
Totally
it's
bad.
real bad.
Yes.
It burned real bad. It tastes terrible. You could smell and taste it the whole rest of the day.
Well,
Nothing I could do could get it
That
out.
is this fruit's reaction to being tormented, and it
See, I
releases.
smell it now because the bag's open and you have that. And no, put that whole thing in your mouth
No,
and chew it up because you weren't specific when you told me about it. And that's what I did.
No,
and
I'm
I
not-
just about
You will
died.
never be able to do it a second time if you take this whole thing because
Oh, I
like
died.
wasabi, where you take a little bit of wasabi and it goes a long way.
Yeah,
You never want to take a dollop of garlic and eat the whole thing.
I did.
You shouldn't.
And you know what I still had to do? I
What?
still had to go to the doctor and get meds because it didn't help. Now, by the time I did it, I mean, I was probably like full blown bronchitis and
Right.
infection.
I got 4 days head start on this because I started supplementing before I just started seeing people.
Ooh, smelling it now.
Oh yeah.
Now, do you think sitting here, me breathing that in, am I
No,
getting any benefits?
You're not getting Allison from smells. You were just getting annoyed because it's a terrible smell.
Well, I was hoping I was going to get some benefits from it.
You got to eat it. And I will share because I don't have to take that one till the afternoon. If you want that one, I'll totally let you eat a piece of garlic. You want to do it?
No.
Come on, I think you should.
Oh. Then I
Just
smell like that while I'm singing.
Oh, that would be amazing.
Oh.
Yeah,
Everyone's
it
like,
burns.
what?
It burns your mouth, and when you swallow it, you feel that it's not a substance that has good intentions with anything it comes across.
Oh, it was so awful. BJ says, I'll be staying in the back with the door shut. Thank you. Carter says garlic will keep the vampires away too. Do you believe in vampires? And I'm not talking about scary movie fake vampires, but do you believe in people who act as vampires and do vampire-like things?
I think people have been effed up forever. And I think, if impulses take you down the path of being super evil, then you can absolutely take people's heads and put it on a pike and warn your enemies that if you come too close, I'm going to suck your blood and dismember you and drink your blood. Like that, I think that would be a very effective way of keeping people out of your yard.
Like they say vampires, they can't enter your home unless you invite them in. You ever talk to someone that seems hesitant to come in where you were?
No, that lore, I don't buy into the lore.
Oh my God. Speaking of which,
yes,
not to bounce around topic to topic, but
Merry Christmas.
Here we are. Did you read my text I sent you yesterday about my mini heart attack I had?
Oh, yes. Yes.
So am I racist?
Yes.
We should tell everyone. Here's what happened to me yesterday.
let me first,
Go
let
ahead.
me set the pins.
Yeah.
So human beings, we categorize things. We do risk assessments and we stereotype as a means for keeping ourselves safe.
Alive.
Right? We make presuppositions, and where you would like to be, think of yourself as a good position. You're walking down a street and there are three guys that have oversized jackets walking on the same side facing you. And in your brain, you're like, they're probably just three guys. They'll walk right by me. Right. But if you're like, well, what if they have a sawed-off shotgun underneath their coat? Let me just walk to the other side of the street, and it has nothing to do with anything other than I looked at it. The assessment of risk was higher than being on the other side of the street, and I picked the other side of the street. Does that make you racist? No, it just makes you a good math person. Share with the audience what happened to you.
I was working yesterday, and here's what my brain, I think, already has in the back of it.
Do you think you're racist, first off?
No.
Okay.
I don't.
I just want to make sure.
My brain at all times, I think, is already subconsciously well aware that I don't feel as though I'm in a great part of town. Not an awful part of town, but not a great part of town. I'm working in an area that people, I think, criminals could find value in. If people wanted to rob this place, it would not be a stretch of the imagination. Right. It's not a bank, but it's up there in my risk assessment, personal opinion. And it's Christmas time when you would expect things like robberies to happen. Right. So this is already in my worried Kelin brain at all times. And a person walked in, and I am all alone. And they're very tall. I could tell it was a black man, coat on, hood up, and a mask over his face. Not like a ski mask, but like what everybody wears during COVID. Not the paper ones. It was like a material, dark colored one. Mask over his face, big puffy coat, hood up, very tall man, walks in and stands there with his hand in his pocket. And I just about died. Before he said a word, I slowly walked towards him, scanning his whole body, looking for his hands. And I almost wonder if he realized I was doing that, because he did approach and take his hands out and put them on the counter. Hey, general question. He did pull his mask down. So I'm like, I'm liking this better. Couple of general questions. Someone told me to come in here, yada, yada, yada. Answered his question, was very polite. Because I'm thinking, I can't give this guy the impression that I'm racist, because now I'm all ultra sensitive to, am I coming off as racist? Because I'm scared right now. It went well. Didn't take very long. At one point while we're talking, he puts not both, one hand again back in his pocket. And I started to back up. And I just sort of had a posture of I got to get back to what I was doing kind of thing. Mentally, I'm going towards the back door. And I said, yeah, give us a call if you need anything else. And okay, great, thanks. And he walked out. I never saw a car. He talked to somebody as he was walking out. And I went to my office. I got my phone just in case. I walked up. I looked out the window. There's no car there. Coincidentally, I think I saw a different guy walk down the street in a big puffy coat, but that was kind of it. And I was just like, I'm sure he was a very nice man. He seemed very friendly in our interaction, but my whole body was screaming, oh my God, I'm about to get robbed at gunpoint. I was so scared for like 10 seconds. And luckily I was okay and nothing happened. And I'm sure it was just my imagination, but I was like, oh my God, does this make me racist? I was so scared for a few minutes.
Yeah. And I really think that's the downside of having so many women in the workforce is that they're not defenders. They're not protectors. They get in compromising positions and they freak out. And so like just some things were intended to have males at the helm.
Well, I actually even had, this was maybe a month ago, similar circumstance, not as scary. He wasn't wearing a mask and all this stuff. But again, another guy, similar description, comes in, again, just general questions and goes, you're all alone here, aren't you? And I went, well, right now, texts come and go. And in fact, they're probably going to be here any minute. They got to do some stuff here later. And so I just hold down the fort till they get back. And I was very like, someone's coming and they're going to be here soon. And they're like, oh, okay. Mm-hmm. And so I think that was another little already in the back of my mind that makes me a little biased to anyone coming in and I can't see their hands and they make me nervous.
So what would have Sharon Stone done?
I don't know.
Ex-special ops, she would have taken her Bowie knife and she would have slammed it into the front counter and stabbed it in there and say, what do you want? And shown that you're like a fierce someone you don't mess with. And that's going to
work against someone with a gun?
Of course. They're not expecting you to pull out a Bowie knife.
You pull a knife, you pull a gun.
No, you can throw that knife. It's already in your hand. Well, I guess you stabbed the counter, so you'd have to extract it from the counter, but still, you'd have the upper hand because you have the weapon ready to go. Tell me that you can't take a knife and then end over end it into somebody as they're pulling their weapon out of their pocket. You totally could do that.
I don't know if I'd be very effective.
Okay.
So, yeah, if you are in a situation where your brain is telling you, hey, this may be nothing, but I am noticing that the chances of it being something are higher than nothing.
Right.
Like risk data point, risk point, risk point, risk point. Now I'm uncomfortable.
Right.
How would you react then? Or are you at all concerned that person becomes offended because I wasn't dangerous? It is cold out. That's why I'm bundled up. Why would you automatically treat me like a criminal? Or do you think that person needs to realize I just walked into this environment?
Well, you're passive. I'm active. So I walked into an appointment one time and it was residential, someone's house. I walked in, they had a gun sitting off of their coffee table. Right? And so I said, listen, I'm here to service your computer. I'm not going to have any weapons around while I'm doing my thing. Can you make sure that thing goes away before I get going here? Right?
Yeah.
And before I went forward, I thought, that was a big risk to have that there.
Yeah.
And I needed to be gone. And they put it away. They apologized for it. They did an explanation and I went on my merry way. But I will not passively just freak out. I will say something to the person because that's how you then diffuse the situation.
Yeah. And
so what would I have said to your dude coming in? Dude, I'm not comfortable with your hands in your pockets. You got masked up in a big fluffy coat. This is not typical. And let's take your coat off, take your hands out of your pockets before we do any business, or I'm going to have to ask you to leave. And I'll be in the defensive position until they have disarmed. You come up with someone that has a sword in their hand, you make the sword not in their hand so that you can actually do business with them. Doesn't mean they have ill intent, but it means that they're higher risk because there's unknowns sitting in front of you.
And he did. I think he sort of saw me scanning him. Like I was all kind of slow approaching. I think that he
passively
did pull it down.
Hope they notice versus you saying the thing right to that person. That's the difference.
I think my brain pattern went, don't piss him off. If anything, make him like you and not want to kill you.
Okay.
I think that's where my mindset went.
And that's what I'm saying. That's
smile,
that is,
very nice. I don't have anything for you. Yeah.
Major deal.
Like I'm about to run.
Yeah.
I can think of counting that instance, maybe about 3 instances that I was actively moving away about to run.
Do you think that goes against the feminist movement, that situation, and that basically pulling out of the ground and showing an illustration of how women handle confrontational situations completely different than men do?
Probably. I mean, again, I think it depends. I think there are women that would have been like, get the F out of here. You're creeping me out. I just took a different strategy, as in be very nice, be professional,
okay,
and don't make him agitated. I'm not going to agitate
Moving
him.
on. What's the next topic?
Oh my gosh. What? How else have I been completely terrified this week and had many heart attacks? My cortisol is going to be like, yeah. I don't know. That's all I got. Julie said she eats pickled garlic. It's good. Retains the allicin that I can't say.
Just Allison, like the name.
Allison.
Len
says, Merry Christmas on a very blessed New Year from Youngstown Safe Zones.
Promise Community Hub.
I don't know what that is, but thanks, Len.
Merry Christmas to you as well.
Merry Christmas.
So yeah,
Happy
the
holidays.
Allison gets destroyed when it's exposed to high heat. So as long as you can preserve it so that it still reacts, like it can't be dead raw.
Yeah, you can't cook it to where you actually want to eat it or enjoy eating it.
Exactly. You got to have some pain in there, because that's really that is sort of like the holiday season is about sacrifice, right? And I think like when I eat this garlic, I am willingly entering into something that is really hard in order to get a benefit that is not everybody's gonna realize. So these holidays, if nothing else, like we commercialized it, we ruined the whole meaning of it. And so like when you go through the holidays, you're not like getting messages of being better and having morals of the story and entering the new year being better than you were the last year. It's just a commercialized deal where people justify bad behaviors and put themselves in terrible positions. So it's what the devil would do if they wanted to hijack some kind of holy day or holiday.
Put themselves in terrible positions.
Yes.
Such as
all your decisions during the holidays. Put yourself in financial crisis, stress crisis, health crisis, like every single decision that I can think of, right? We do during the holidays, because it's like, hey, let's break away from the status quo and go try to destroy ourselves a little bit. That's what the holidays mean.
Billy says, Merry Christmas for heck yeah, eat more garlic.
Heck yeah, the hot dog shop over here in Youngstown.
I don't know about heck
awesome.
Yeah. Probably because I can't eat it. I can't eat any of the good stuff. I will say the whole avoiding gluten thing really has helped me during the holidays, because I would love to down some Christmas cookies on a daily basis, and I can't.
Yep.
And you know what? I used to be like, oh, Kelin, you can't be proud about that. It's something you can't do, and that's the only reason you're not. And I was like, I can physically eat that. I can put that in my mouth. I can do it, not even feel bad.
Restraint.
But I'm not doing it because I know that's not good for my body.
That is the sacrifice that I'm talking about.
Now, listen, if someone gets a gluten-free cookie, I'm eating it.
Okay.
But I know that's way less often than the regular. And that's another, I saw a video somebody shared the other day, and they were like, it was this dancing dog, and it was in a workout outfit. And it said, oh, me as of January 1st. And my friends are like, yep, soon as the holidays are over, soon as this vacation's done, soon as it's the first, I'm doing that. And I'm like, been working out consistently for over a year.
Mhm.
Just saying. Still
One
got
of
my
the-
workout
one of
in
those
this week.
privileged white girls that that you don't know real opposition. How hard it is to be someone who's not you. Must be
Because
nice.
I work out in my living room.
Must be nice. Not
Must
everybody
be
can do
nice. I know. Not everybody has the time.
that. Yeah.
Which I love hearing that. And I said, oh, do you realize I have 2 jobs? I have a full-time job and a part-time job and 2 kids and a husband and a house to take care of.
Right.
And I help out at our church now regularly. And I still get a 30-minute workout in 3 days a week. Just saying. Just saying.
Hey, you know what? The Marxist victim class is very strong right now. Very strong.
You know what else I've done? Somebody told me the other day, well, with my job, though, I got to eat on the road. I got to do a lot of fast food. No, you don't. And I took my lunchbox and went, pack my lunch every single day. Can be done.
But they have got themselves convinced
Brag.
that they
Brag.
can't, right? I argue with poor people
I
all
used
the
to be
time.
that way.
Argue with poor people all the time. And this is my favorite argument because I win every single time. But they still, even after I win the debate, they're still convinced.
Yeah.
So they think that healthy food is too expensive, right? Can't do it. I got to eat all processed stuff because it's cheaper and I can get more calories and I can keep everybody alive. What do you think Joe would say to that argument?
Bull crap.
Bull crap it is.
Yes.
Yes. Because here's what you need to know about that. So if you're a poor person that's not eating healthy because you think you have no other choice, it's going to take about 30 days for your body to do its thing once you start eating differently. It takes sometimes some of the bacteria that's in your small intestine and your gut takes 6 months
Dang.
to refactor. So you got to do the right thing for a long enough period of time for your body to react.
Yeah.
So if I use the vitamin discussion to illustrate it, right? If you took a multivitamin, right, and you were able to see how much percentage of the things that you just took in your mouth that your body ever made use of, let's just say 1%. Would you be thrilled if 99% of the multivitamin just you pooped out?
No.
You'd be mad, right?
Yeah.
So that's what processed food does to you. You're getting technical calories, right? But you're not absorbing any macronutrients or micronutrients in what you're eating. So you have to eat more of it. So you get more calories and less micro and macronutrients. So what ends up happening to you when you eat lots of calories with little nutrients?
You gain
get
weight.
bigger.
Yeah.
You get lots bigger. Okay. And nobody is dying from malnutrition because you've seen the body sizes of people, right? You don't see, like when we were kids, they used to show us like starving kids in Africa, right?
Yeah.
Big bellies and skeletal, whatever. You're not seeing that amongst the people who are malnourished. You're seeing people who go to the grocery store and they seek mouth pleasure and they buy everything that tastes good and they have to eat a ton of it and they get super fat and then even harder to be able to absorb any of the micro and macronutrients. But if you were just like, all right, I'm going to believe Joe. My thing is I don't buy anything from the inner rungs of the grocery store. I just basically go to the outside. Anything that's the outside, except for frozen foods. Frozen food still sucks, and it's still on the outside. I'm talking vegetables. I'm talking meats. I'm talking anything that's on the outside.
Yeah.
You can eat, and all you would have to do is know that your body's going to take 30 days to adjust, and body's going to hate you for a little while till it gets readjusted. But if you can eat a 4-ounce steak, like, would you ever eat a 4-ounce steak?
Yeah.
Okay. There are people who are like, they see a little 4-ounce steak and they're like, that's not going to fill me up. And they're absolutely right. It's not going to fill them up because their body's so used to eating, 24 ounces of any food that they're given, because when the steak is going in, it's not being broken down correctly and they're pooping all the good stuff out. So they get 24 of it to even have a chance at having any kind of nutrition. So when I'm talking to these poor people and they just insist, they're unwilling to go the 30 days to fix their body enough so that they can take a food and their body can make use of it. That's it. That's the whole debate. And I've never lost it.
Yeah, because I've heard people say all the time, oh, well, like you said, fast food's cheaper and grocery store is more expensive. And it's like, do an experiment. Go a couple of weeks and every meal you eat comes from a drive-through. Add it up. see how hungry you are, see how fulfilled you are. Do you have to keep going back because you're still hungry, or did you shell out more money, or did you go to the grocery store, buy chicken and potatoes and multiple sources of protein and things that will keep you fuller longer throughout the day and make multiple meals of it? I can get something for dinner and have the rest of it for lunch and maybe even another meal out of it one time.
Yep.
Not here's some more money and here's some more money and here's some more money.
So I'll give you that the food is expensive, but you eat way less of it and get more nutrition.
Lasts you longer. Yeah, you can get multiple meals out of something at the grocery store. Fast food, it's done in minutes and you shell out more money to get more the very same day.
Now, food waste is another thing. If you're brain dead and you really can't manage nouns in this world, then don't do this, right? So I go to the grocery store and I buy a fish, a pork, a hamburger, a steak, a ham. Like I'll buy all of my meats on the weekend. I'll take 10 different meat offerings and I'll put all but 2 in the freezer, right? I eat one, I take one out of the freezer and move it in the refrigerator. That's 2 days from now deal. So it has 24 hours, 72 hours to be able to come thaw and be edible for that day. If you can't handle the responsibilities of transferring something from freezer to refrigerator, right?
Yeah.
You've got bigger problems.
And not only that, we had forever ago, we had a problem where we would go to the grocery store with great intentions and you buy everything you need and you put it in the refrigerator because I don't need to freeze it. This is this week's food. And what happens? I don't feel like cooking. Let's just go out to eat. Or I want this. Let's go out to eat. That's what it really comes down to. Then it goes bad.
Irresponsibility is what got you in the health position. As I'm coughing up along the health
you're
position.
Sick.
The health position. But yeah, you got yourself there for a certain, reasons, and altering your behaviors is the hardest thing because not only do you have victimhood and you have telling people that it's just part of your disease and you can't help it and you don't have enough time and it's too expensive and you'll never get there.
Yeah. I was that person. I think I even said to you once, it's just not who I am. I would rather eat this than have the perfect body. It's worth it. And then you realize it's not. It's not. And I'm not talking about the perfect body and how you look and looking good. I mean like how you feel, your energy level, your mobility, the fact that you don't feel so heavy, not just your weight, but I mean just heavy, like your body can do more and perform better. That is better than eating that in the moment. It just is. And it's hard. It's hard to break that addiction. It's hard to break that cycle. I still get on it to where like sometimes I'll have dinner and I'll say, you know what? I need a little something sweet. I need a little chocolate. And instead of eating like a row of cookies, my daughter likes to bake and she has this container of chocolate chips for baking. And I'll just reach in and satisfy my sweet tooth. Well, I started to do that like on a daily basis. And I went, I just developed a habit. It's a bad habit. I got to break it. And then I'm like, okay, no more chocolate chips for a few days. And you start to learn how your brain works with habits and routines. And
well, I went to a Christmas party last night and they had all of the sweets, right?
Oh,
how many sweets do you think I ate?
Probably none.
Zero sweets. I did splurge and I ate 3 pieces of pizza while I was there. That is my dessert when I splurge and eat something that I don't typically eat.
Yeah.
And it was really enjoyable. It was white pizza, hot peppers. If I'm going to eat pizza, that's what I would freaking eat.
Yeah.
The mindless just going after like something that looks chocolatey and it really isn't all that fulfilling. And you just did damage to everything by doing it. Just bow out.
Yeah, it's got to be worth it. Because again, don't get me wrong. I'm still going to have sweets on occasion. I'm still going to have foods I like on occasion, knowing perfectly well they're not good for me, but I make it worth it.
Yeah.
Like I'm not going to eat this. It's a store-bought thing and it doesn't taste very good and it's kind of dry and it's just not worth it. But if someone's like, here's a homemade, warm, gooey goodness, worth it. I'll spend my calories on that.
80-20. 80% of the time you're making good decisions, 20% you're splurging.
Yeah.
Typical American diet, it's opposite of that. 80% is splurging, 20%
Oh, yeah. My husband just showed me a reel the other day on Instagram that somebody's been sharing, and it was a scene from The Santa Claus with Tim Allen. Remember that movie?
Yeah.
So it said, how interesting it is that in the movie, Tim Allen gains weight to the point that his whole family is concerned. He steps on a scale and it reads 192. And they're like, oh my gosh, Scott, Calvin, you feel okay? You've ballooned up. You've gained so much weight. He's like, I'm almost 200 pounds. This is insane. And it's like, that may be like the average American weight right now. Like, that's not a weight that you would like look at in this day and age and and be like, oh my gosh. So it's like, well, what does that say? What does that say about our culture that in the movie it was meant to be shocking? And now you're like, oh.
Yeah, he's pretty skinny. Like, how'd you lose all the weight?
Like, oh, not even that bad of a weight.
All right. So the end of the year, the Affordable or Unaffordable Care Act expires on December 31st.
Mm-hmm.
And Congress is out of session. So there is no chance, zero chance, that there's going to be an emergency session to be able to add subsidy funding for the Affordable Care Act. So they're telegraphing what's going to happen here in the first session of Congress for 2026. What's your guess? Do you think they'll extend it? The first session will be an emergency session or no?
You're talking about to get subsidies in there. Are they going to?
So you had the original Obamacare Affordable Care Act. Then in 2020, they put a COVID subsidy that added more taxpayer money to drive down the cost of the premiums for people. They were only put on there for 4 years now. And when they expired, that's what's going away on the 31st, right?
Yeah.
So these aren't even the original ones. Thank you, sir. These are the times are tough and you can't work. So let's add some extra money to cover some of your premiums deal. So I think like that wasn't intended to be part of the Affordable Care Act. And it was only squeaked in there because they took advantage of the COVID stuff that was happening with COVID. So if those disappear, it should go back to pre-COVID Obamacare, but it's not that. When people are looking at their prospectus and what their different plans picking out, like we're talking 700% at the worst cases, 300% at the best cases. So if you're paying $10,000, you're paying $30,000 for your healthcare at this point. That is super broken. That's not just broken.
Yeah.
That is super broken.
And so you're saying, do we think that they're just going to like start extending it again?
Well, okay. So the last government shutdown, the holdup was these ending subsidies.
Mm-hmm.
And the Republicans said, let's put the clean bill through, get the budget approved, and then we'll spend all of the remaining part of November and into December discussing the Affordable Care Act and see what we want to do with it. I could have told you on that day there was going to be an impasse. The Democrats were going to take nothing other than extending them. And the Republicans would be like, we got to fix this. This is broken. We can't just have this being, pegged down by the taxpayer. And so there was an impasse from go. Like, I'm glad that they satisfied the budget, but I didn't think that a month and a half was going to be any serious talks on how they were going to fix that. They floated a couple of ideas with HSAs or giving government subsidy money rather than to insurance companies directly to people so they can make their premiums with the check that shows up from the government. But it still goes to insurance companies, right?
Yeah.
I'm getting it, and then I have more decisions about what I want to do with that insurance. So hopefully that this thing dies a really painful death.
Yeah.
Like really painful, right? Bring all the insurance companies to the table and say the gravy train is coming to a halt right now, and I'm not giving you free money, and all you're going to do is send the cost of healthcare up. We had Joe Biden, who created a ton of inflation, in which that makes everything cost more. So it's no surprise that if you have a trajectory of healthcare costs that's going up perpetually, that one day you're going to pay that consequence. So adding a subsidy just masks the increased costs, doesn't do anything to curtail those costs. So we need something 100% disruptive. But I don't think anybody in the Republican Party has the nutsack to be able to do the hard thing, right, that needs to be done. So I think it's going to be a compromise where they buy themselves more time. And I'm going to scream, you guys are no closer to making any kind of deal, extending more time.
Yeah.
All it's going to do is we're going to be right back here in February after having paid more taxpayer money, and we're going to be right in the same question. So might as well hash it out now. Figure out what we're going to do, because the situation is not going to get better a month from now.
Yeah, because I think what makes sense and what should be done is totally different from how they want themselves to look. So if they know, oh, doing this, it could really be beneficial in the future. It makes more sense. It's going to help a lot of people. But this is going to give the other side a talking point to say, look at what
You're
they
100%
did.
right. Going into the midterms in 2026, the Democrats want this to be an issue so they can run on it.
Yep.
So they are motivated to stall the crap out of this. They almost don't want them to extend them because they want it to be an issue they can run on. Now, the Republicans know that that's a soft spot. So if they come over the top and solve this problem outside of Congress for the short term and show the public that they, we're not going down that path, that's going to be a hell of a lot of marketing. They're going to have to really do better communicating than they are right now.
Do you think we'll ever see them sort of just totally axe it and make this what it should be and take everything away?
I think Obamacare is the natural progression in a Medicare for all, right? So everybody who they don't value healthcare and they just want to pay the bare minimums and they want the government to take care of them. The first segment is all the poor people and lower middle class are going to go on Medicare for all. And then you're going to have pay for services. So you're going to have a hybrid. We're going to have I go to the doctor, I need something, I throw down my money, I'm not taxed, right? To like I am now on, like if you could just take what an employer is paying for health insurance and just put that in the bank, right? And pay everything out of pocket. A majority of the healthy people would be looking at the amount that they roll over year to year and saying, holy shit, I cannot believe I was giving that to the insurance company every single year. And the poor people or unhealthy people that are spending hundreds of thousands of dollars a year and paying almost nothing into it, right? Put them on Medicare, right? They're already there. They're instead of the government taxpayer, they're just being privately subsidized by healthy people. And that's not a fair prospect. So I think we split our healthcare into two things, the pay for services side and then the public option, and, allow sort of like the pay for service to innovate, where they're still going to want to make machines and they're going to want to do pharmaceutical research and they're going to do, the innovations in that industry. And then the Medicare people, you can just, do what you've been doing, is just keep people 1 degree away from death and keep them in a disease state for the rest of their lives. So
you had mentioned before that, a couple of doctors that are cash only. Yep. Can any medical facility choose to do that?
So right now there aren't a lot of them. And so a lot of those private practice outside of the insurance deal, they don't need any new patients. There's so much demand for people who just want to pay outside of the insurance company. Yeah. I would doubt that they would want to take on any new patients at this point. They're inundated. And they're probably making more margin on their services. They have far less. They have no insurance billers. So they have 10 less people in their office publishing and trying to get paid on Medicaid and Medicare payments. So really, they are happy because their practice is simpler. There's less people. They're more nimble. They can do patient care better, and so they're set.
Do these offices have things like imaging, like X-rays and
if
therapies?
Not, they have. There's a group of them that sort of pass non-insurance people to the different services. So you might have a guy that has an MRI machine, right?
Yeah.
That takes referrals from the other doctors that don't do insurance, where you're paying $70,000, somebody out of pocket's only paying $10,000 for that. And they're happy to do it because there's not a long line for it. When they need it, they need it. They don't have to travel 100 miles to be able to get there and fill out 9 forms of paperwork to be able to get. You come in there, swipe your HSA card, pay for it out of what you put in what would be premiums, and then you just pay for what you need. Now there's a huge incentive for people to stay healthier, because if your healthcare costs are lower because you're making better decisions, you're saving yourself money. Yeah. And anybody doesn't want to do that, anybody wants to be a pleb, they could just go off and be on Medicare and get substandard care and be complaining about how the taxpayer isn't paying enough for their healthcare. And I think that's the just way.
I know someone who works for a company that provides a gym membership for all their employees. Mm-hmm. How do you feel about something like that? Like things like, oh, all right, if I have to offer some sort of whatever benefit, I'm putting it towards this.
So long that it connects to an incentive. So if my insurance company for this place said, hey, if you install a camera, we'll lower your premium by $200. Well, I will know in a year's time that what I could spend on the cameras to lower my premium. So it's just basically two offsetting costs. Do I want to pay the higher premium and not have the cameras, or do I want to pay a lower premium and have the cameras? That's really more like a spreadsheet decision than an emotional decision.
But yeah, but I would imagine then they're thinking, if I believe my workers will take advantage of this.
Well, it doesn't matter. If you can check a box that says, do you offer your employees gym membership?
And you it doesn't even matter if they use it.
Per premium, doesn't matter. I can just check that box.
See.
My premiums go down. I don't care if you use it all.
So you don't think it's their way of trying to get the employees healthier? It's they were offered something.
In some cases, maybe, but we've transactionalized that whole thing to the point where there's not an employer that's going to do something that doesn't have a cost savings at a certain point. So like, let's just say there was a retail place and they have a bunch of call-offs, but they offer insurance and their call-offs gets cut in half. Well, they didn't get a direct incentive on an insurance premium to do it. They just happen to have their labor force be available 50% more of the time by doing the gym membership. And we're going to see the increased revenue because they did that versus the cost of the gym memberships, and see if they weigh in on each other.
Well, I did like the idea.
It's not bad, but yeah I mean, wrecking the Affordable Care Act should be a high priority, and it was written to get single payer on the books. They wanted everybody, but not everybody's going to want to go. So just get them into Medicare.
Yeah, and I feel like we're seeing this with a lot of things. Cuts that need to be made because that was always the game plan when whatever said organization was implemented. Yeah. But it's almost like, what a joke that was. Like, hey, let's set this up temporarily. That's funny.
We know it's going to be a tragedy down the road.
Yeah,
we're gonna do it
I'm going to use that to my advantage. When you try to cut that, all I got to make sure is I'm not the one who cuts it. You are. And then I can talk about what a bad guy you are.
Yeah. My utopia is people just buy their own shit wherever they want to buy it from the provider that they want. Nobody's in control of that. So there's only certain things that should be mandated. Like when you're driving around in a car, you want to make sure the other dude has insurance in case they hit you. They at least have liability. I see where you could affect me by your irresponsibility. So the government has to intervene, at least set some ground rules to protect me from you. But when it comes to your health, you make bad decisions, you don't affect me one bit unless my taxes are propping up the cost of services.
Yeah.
Now I do care that you're on SNAP benefits, getting ho-hos, because I know your health insurance is being paid by me. So if you're eating ho-hos, you're getting sicker, you're going to cost me more in the end.
Yeah.
And that would be analogous to, as long as you don't affect other people, you are free to do whatever you want. The minute that you become a problem to me, then I have a say in your decision making. And we don't want anybody. I don't want to care about SNAP benefits at all, right? I don't want to care. If I wasn't paying for it, I wouldn't care at all.
What do you think, if anything, can be done about the emergency room visit? And I mean, we all know that people use the emergency rooms for any and everything because they cannot get turned away.
Right.
Regardless of their ability to pay, regardless of what the issue is. I've mentioned before that one time I was in the ER with a family member, and there was a guy there who was clearly mentally ill. He was talking about getting a grill put on his teeth. I need my teeth checked out. He was clearly off the streets and not all there. Can't turn him away though. Like, everybody gets processed, and anybody knows if you feel as though you truly need an emergency room visit, you're probably screwed because you're going to be there all day. Can this in any way be affected and changed for the better?
So that
in some way.
So the have tos usually have a model. Like if you have to make a loan to somebody, then all of the other gravities, like if I wanted to go to school and I don't have great credit and I would still want to go to that school, and the school's like, I'm not going to give him a loan. He can't carry it. And the government's like, we got you. Right. And then the government comes to me and says, hey, we're going to lend you the money for school, but it's unbankruptable. Right. Because I don't want you going to school knowing your low income and don't deserve a loan in the first place. But if you take on this loan and don't pay it back, even if you bankrupt yourself, that sticks with you forever. All right. So make the emergency room non-bankruptable. That bill doesn't go to Medicaid and Medicare. That's a you bill. And then you have to think about going to the emergency room and whether or not it's really an emergency. What do you think the ratio is of people who show up at the emergency room and it's not a gunshot or not a stabbing or not a heart attack, but it's just because that's the way the emergency room is the highest cost service that you can get as far as medical care goes.
Yeah.
You can go to a doctor that'll see you for $125, right? Much cheaper than you can go to an emergency room that's going to be $5,000, bare minimum.
Yeah.
And so, we want to dissuade people from just showing up the emergency room for non-emergencies. And unbankruptable. Follows you around forever.
We've got to do that somehow. We've got to do that somehow.
Yeah.
It's infuriating sitting there when you feel like I'm legitimately should be here and you're like, and that person's before me and that person's before me, as they're just hanging out and they're eating their fast food and they're waiting, and it's like, how
it's
is
just the
this
brokenness of our system. And it's exploited. It wasn't set up that way to see people in the emergency room. But when you look at what you can do, I need to be seen, and this is going to cost too much, and I don't want to pay anything. Oh, all I got to do is go to the emergency room, and it's written off to Medicare or Medicaid, and then I don't have to pay anything. And you actually have an emergency, and you're sitting behind Grill Dude, right? Thinking you shouldn't even freaking be here, but the only reason they're there is a financial incentive.
Here's another frustrating situation I was in one time. I don't even remember what the issue was. I can't remember why I went. I went to like an after hours urgent care because it was like after 5. I needed something looked at. In no way an emergency. And so I went and it typically would have been something that they're like, yeah, let's look at. Except one of my symptoms was this one spot of my chest kind of hurts. And the moment I said that, game over. Test. If you are a nearly 40-something-year-old woman and you say the words chest pain, they're like, you are required to go to the ER. Would you like us to call an ambulance? And I'm like, no, that's really unnecessary. Can't we just I think it's my neck is out or whatever. Like, no. 40, almost 40-year-old woman, chest pain. We are required. You have to go to the ER. Yep. And I was just like, so what am I supposed to do? Like, I want this kind of help. I'm not going to go sit in the ER all night long because of this little tiny little thing. Like, there's so many little things that we have somehow got to improve. And when you hear all this ideas of like, everybody should have free healthcare and everybody should get all these different things, like, do we not think that any little doctor's visit is going to now feel like sitting in an ER room with everybody there? Do you think that would be the case? It's
bad math. You cannot make it free because then you devalue it. You hold someone hostage that they're working a profession that they're not making money for it. It's being tax subsidized. So if I'm a really great lawyer and I have a choice to be a public defender or somebody who's going to be paid by the government, I'm going to mail it in if I'm the public defender, right? I'm going to just do the bare minimum. I'm not going to try all that hard because I'm getting paid dick for my effort. If I go on the private side, I'm going to have somebody who has the money to make me fight, right? And do a good job for my client. The experience is going to be completely different if that's the case. But again, like from the humanist side, if you have a bunch of unhealthy people and you snapshot it, what do you do with all of the pre-existing conditions and all the unhealthy person pulling the rug out, what they were getting for free before, right? And what do you give to them? It's going to have to be a shakeup where those people have to take responsibility for where they're at. There's going to be maybe 10% of the public that's so far gone that we're just going to have to bite the bullet and just take care of them. They've done it for 50 years and there's no behavioral changes that are going to right them or make them healthy. But everybody who's not that, they're redeemable at this point. Yeah. So the humanist to me is like, well, we got to take care of people. But at the same time, you can't enslave other people and against their will make them care for another person. If you want to take a group of people who are like, yeah, I've made bad choices and, I've got diabetes and my legs cut off and I've got gangrene and all that kind of stuff, then you can have the nuns, right, who are doing it for theological reasons, take care of people because that's what they've been called to do. You don't take a professional and pay their top wage being subsidized by the government and the taxpayer, where I have no say. And you then, while you're diabetic, legless, gangrene, and you're eating a ho-ho while I have my wallet out looking to pay for you. I won't do it. So I won't hold the practitioner responsible for taking care of someone against their will. I won't hold the taxpayer hostage to pay for something that they totally disagree with. Let's get that group of people together and let the good people of our society volunteer to take care of those people in triage. That's it.
Yeah. And Dale says, as a retired first responder, the amount of wasteful use of an ambulance for these individuals due to the welfare system.
They don't have to pay for it. They don't have to even take that into consideration. Should I find somebody to take me to the hospital, or should I pay $2,000 for an ambulance ride? Oh, I don't have to pay the $2,000. Give me the ambulance.
Yeah.
But ambulance companies probably love it because it's a really sweet deal. They still get the billet. The insurance company pays it, or the Medicare system pays, or Medicaid system pays it. That's free money.
We got a bill one time for an ambulance, and it was a legit reason. Someone needed an ambulance. And we remember several days later being like, when are we getting a bill for this? When are we getting a bill for this? And then we finally got a bill in the mail from like a third party. And we didn't know what it was. And they said, oh, we actually work with this ambulance company and we do their billing. And we said, oh, well, we didn't even know because we've never heard of this. Like, luckily we called and figured this out. And we said, what would have happened if we thought this was junk mail and threw it away and never paid it? And they're like, nothing. We hope people do, but we can't make you. And I'm like, what? Like, how do you?
Doesn't make any sense. Not being run like a business, for sure.
You know, same with like, oh, here's your doctor's visit or here's your ER visit. If you pay today, you can have this much. But if you pay later, it's going to be more. And I'm like, why can't it be that?
Dale says the amount that Medicare pays is not worth the call. So, and really that, and that's what insurance companies and, you know, government systems where they cap their expenses because so many people are using it. They want to dissuade people by capping the amount that they'll reimburse the companies for. So maybe it's not a good deal for the ambulance deals if they can't pay full rate. It's almost like those loss leaders. So those doctors that bailed on the Medicare, Medicaid system and insurance completely, they would have to see probably 50% of their patients below cost. They know that if somebody came in for some blood testing, that they were going to get reimbursed for $50, but that service call was going to tie up their office, tie up their people, and probably cost them $300 in lost revenue because they were seeing a $50 person sitting in that chair. But what they do is they convert those things and know everything they can sell to a Medicare and Medicaid patient while they're there, blood tests and screenings and follow-up visits and pharmaceuticals. And so they have to pad their bill so they don't have a loss leader of seeing a Medicaid patient, losing money to do it, but then stacking on the other services then get away with and still not create a liability in it. So that's where we've become, is that medical is more sales than it is taking care of people. And if you're going to fix the system, you know, the best way to do it is use market forces. Use people who are, you know, the first scrape is the no-brainers. The people that are healthy, allow them to pull their money out of the system and just pay directly for the service because they don't use a whole lot. They're not a big liability. Those are easy ones. The middle part gets a little tricky in how you handle the people that, a mom has a baby, right? Goes through all the prenatal care, does the delivery and whatever. What do you think you should pay to have a baby? Should it be $100,000? Should it be $50,000? Should it be $10,000? What should you budget if you were not using the insurance companies to pay for your baby, where most moms will have a baby? So you're not insuring against accidentally having a baby. You're not having a baby. You're going to have a baby, right? Pull yourself out of the system, put a portion of what you're paying in premiums and pay for your own care. And maybe it doesn't cost $100,000. Maybe it costs $20,000. You as a mom, would you be willing to pay $20,000 to bring your kid in without putting things through an insurance company?
I mean, I guess if you're paying for the insurance, you're
paying for it
anyways.
Right. Just let you keep what you're already paying in because you're healthy and just pay with the own money that you're already spending. You're just getting a bad deal because the people who are costing the system the most are paying nothing, and you're paying more than you need to pay to prop up those people. That's where it's broken.
Yeah, because I mean, if you actually go and you only make a payment of like $35 or whatever, and you're like, oh, well, I need insurance because I only paid this. But how much did you pay before that day, before you paid that $35? Like, there was payments long before that.
Right. But you have to get, when market forces apply to a product, then people who render those services figure out how to make it efficient, cheaper, because there's competition. Now there's doctor down the road is going to offer the service for $79 and I need to offer it for $75, and you have at least a chance for cost to go down. Yeah.
Make people give you a better service and a better product.
Right. And they'll figure out how to do it in a way where they can still make money, right?
Yeah.
But not have it so oppressive. Like when you use the Tylenol example, where a Tylenol costs $60 when you go through there, what makes it cost $60? Like, don't you think you as a human being could get a better deal on a Tylenol than what you got at the hospital for $60? So the question is, why did they charge it for you? Simple answer is that's the maximum billing for a Tylenol they can get. So they get the maximum that the insurance company will turn around and pay for, right?
Yeah. And then I hate when the insurance company will dictate where you can go and what provider you can see. And it could be like, well, I hate, that's a crappy office. I don't want to go there. I want to go here. We're not going to cover that. And it's like, well, then let me just pay to go there.
Yeah. If you went to a car dealership, right, and you wanted to buy a new car, and would you go in there and say, I want to just pay, I have $60,000 in my purse and I want to buy a car. What do you think? How close to your top line budget do you think that salesperson would fit you in? Do you think they'd come in at 40? Do you think they would come in at 50? Or do you think they come in at 59,999,999?
They're going to get what they can
human
get.
Nature, right?
Yeah.
But if you had competition where Bob the car salesman was competing against Tom the car salesman, and whoever gave you the better deal, and they were fighting for your business, they had to keep lowering the prices. Well, they couldn't drop their prices lower than what they paid for it, but they could shrink their margin down to earn you as a customer. We need competition in the marketplace. And, you know, these politicians talk about like the group negotiations as a way to make everybody feel better, that somehow there's this group who's negotiating a special deal in your favor, right?
Yeah.
You think it's really going down the way you picture it in your brain that's going down?
No.
What incentive? Like, how do you know that the person that walks into that table is going to be a bulldog and say, listen, I know what this stuff costs to produce. I know what your margins should be. And I'm not paying $1 over giving you a little bit of profit so you can stay in business, but I'm not paying $1 over that. How many of those, like if I were doing negotiation, I would know the business well enough to know what brings the cost down, right?
Yeah.
And I'll say, hey, you're shipping this stuff from Canada. You could probably save X amount of dollars by having a factory that's right down the street. So I'll pay it for 1 year, but you better move operations a little closer to us so you can give me a better product, right? And I'll buy from you if you can do that. If you can't, I'm just going to go to your competitor over there and I'm going to make them the same offer. And then when you have true negotiations, you're pitting companies in demand against one another. Now they actually have a proper incentive to lower costs. But in the Affordable Care Act and Medicare and single payer and socialized medicine, none of that has any incentives. Even if you have group negotiations, you know what group is, by the way?
Not really.
Okay. So there's a couple of Christian groups. They'll basically pool a bunch. If I go as an individual and go to an insurance company, I'm a hassle because I'm a single person, right? They're managing an entire account for one person, one premium, one payout, right? They got to manage my account. I'm just a headache, right?
Yeah.
So they don't want that. They do not want individuals. They would love a group of 1,000 employees, right? And you save money by having the management and the overseer's job of that account. When they're dealing with a big group, you get a discount on the people that are part of your group. And it used to be, like 10 qualified you for such a discount, 100 qualified. So big companies were able to offer health insurance that were much cheaper than a small business who only had 10 employees, right? And so again, those private groups that do that, we don't need to do that. Okay. So the point is that it's not complicated, truly complicated on its own. It's made complicated so that I am a pain in the ass because there's brokers and there's resellers and I forget, it's like RDPs or whatever. And there's this cost structure of bureaucracies that go up where you might have 10 people dipping in to those premiums before you even get any services. And so if we strip down all of those complications and allow a provider to negotiate with an individual, and you basically take an observer, and how would an individual would negotiate a cost? They would want the amount of services. They would know what each one of those services costs. The ones that are costing them more, maybe I'll take a bigger risk in to lower my premiums. You go through line by line to find the stuff that's important to you. When you're a big group of 1,000, how do you know which one's important to you? What if I included something you're paying $50 a month for, and that's not even important to you?
Yeah.
Right. And it's not big enough to offset the discount as being with a group. So again, mathematically, individual, using AI, using computers, cut out the bureaucracies and make market incentives, like cost saving incentives happen where they have to compete.
Yeah. If somebody's like, I'm opening up a new emergency room and we don't take gunshot wounds and we don't take drug overdoses and we don't take all these other things.
Because there's no money to make.
Yeah. And we only take the people that are able to pay and come here legitimately. And I'd be like, well, go there. I'll pay you to go there.
If let's just say we did that and we had every specialization covered by a doctor or private practice, right? And then they look at the stuff that doctors don't want anything near. It's just too costly. It's too much of a headache. And have a government run just those things that the marketplace passed on. Now that's a starting point. But never should the government compete with a specialization that somebody's willing to practice privately and do a better job at.
Yeah.
And maybe you have a health clinic instead of going to an emergency. I remember George W. Bush took a lot of heat for this, where they were going to expand the health clinic. So instead of going to the emergency room and maybe you didn't have a doctor, they basically had a room that was staffed with some nursing and doctors. And you would go there, you get your wellness check, you get your health checkup. And it was not everything. You couldn't go there and get full services menu, right? But it was all of the regular stuff that if I lived in an area and I take the top 90% of services that people constantly come to the emergency room for, and I could field them all out in a lower cost clinic without competing with the emergency room, that would be a huge cost savings.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I keep thinking of all these examples too of that instance that I was with that family member in the ER. For whatever reason, I don't even remember why, we had to go downtown to the hospital. And it was at night. And it was the worst experience I've ever had. I mean, like the guy wanting to get his grill done and somebody who had been shot comes in and everything. I don't know if you've ever been to an ER. If there's a gunshot wound that comes in, they lock down. So now you're waiting even longer and everything's locked down while we take care of that. Then you finally sort of go in another area and they have to bring a prisoner in who was in jail. Some chick stuck something in her body and now she's passing out. Now they've got to have guards and other doctors come in and deal with this inmate and all this other bullshit. And I'm just like, I would pay almost anything to get out of here right now and go anywhere else. Like, can we go to this other hospital? Can we go to this other thing? Like, nope.
Do you ever go to an amusement park and get the food plans, by the way? You ever do that?
I don't think so, but I know what you're talking about.
So you pay like $40 and you can do as many times as you want.
Yeah.
Every 2
like
hours.
Like on a cruise or something. There's
Right.
usually packages. Right. Yeah. And
if you do that, that's socialized medicine. Everybody and their mother goes in that line because it's all free food and they're trying to get the most amount of value because they've already front-ended the cost. And the food's shitty. You got to wait in line. You're limited as to what you can get. You're not really getting what you want. You end up eating just so you feel like you got
your money's
value.
Worth.
Right. And then you got everybody else is like, F that. Give me all the listing of restaurants that do not cater to that crowd.
Yeah.
Let me go there and I won't have a line. The food will be better. And I won't eat needlessly, right? Because I'm trying to get the most value for my $40. I'll eat when I'm hungry and it's more on my terms, right? So that creates sort of like an analog between what's socialized. Now, let's just say you weren't allowed to opt out. And when you went to the amusement park, you had to pay $40 for that, right? Now, legally, you have to do something that you know is going to be a bad deal. You know it's going to be wrought with a bunch of people. And in that moment, that's the emergency room. How much would you pay to not have to use the forced meal plan at the amusement park?
Yeah.
Can I pay $20 and just not have to deal with these shitheads? But then in your brain, you're like, but I already paid $40 for this sucker. Now I'm going to get zero value only because I'm annoyed because of the free crappy food that everybody's trying to, get for nothing kind of thing.
Yeah. And then people are going to say, oh, must be nice. Must be nice to be able to pay for more and not have to deal with all this. Well, we don't have the money. We've got to take what they give us.
I will tell you at amusement park, I'm VIP, right? I pay for those fast passes. And when I walk up that line and I see everybody waiting in line that I'm not going to wait in, I point at them, right? I point at them and say, one day, if you work hard and you pull your boots up from the boot shops, one day you could wait in the short line. And I feel like that's effective. It gives incentive to those people to work hard.
We did that a couple Halloweens ago. We went to the Canfield Scaregrounds and we paid to fast pass to get in. And you're just walking by all these people in lines and they're like, what the? I was like, it's worth it.
Yeah, wear it as a badge of honor.
Yeah.
The merit.
We worked hard to get here in
That's
this.
right. Don't feel bad about that because all
Yeah.
those people who weren't willing to pay has to stand in line for 2 hours when you have like you can get on in a minute and a half. Like that's amazing. But then they make it too cheap. And then there are more people in the fast pass lane. And then you end up paying more to wait in a line.
Yeah.
I think it should be so expensive that only me and maybe one or two other people would be willing to pay for that.
Or maybe they only give so many.
Exactly.
Where you got to sit on the computer and wait when it goes on sale.
Too many people means it's not exclusive anymore.
Yeah.
And it's only a little bit better than what the poor people can afford. So yeah, it's not a benefit.
It's not valuable anymore.
It ruins the system and makes it not even worthwhile.
Dale says, example, the other day the squad was called for a cut finger that was done days prior and was seeping.
Okay. All right. So you cut your finger and you're like, oh, I probably should have went to the hospital for this. Right. And I'm like, I've lived for the last couple days and I haven't died of sepsis and I'm not going to die from infection. So let's just go to the hospital. Here are my options. Ready?
Yeah.
I'm going to drive myself. Right. That's option one. I'm going to say, hey, Kelin, would you take me down to the hospital so I can get this finger looked at? That's option two. Option three is Uber, $50 to get me to the hospital, or call an effing ambulance.
Well,
call an effing ambulance.
An ambulance will get you seen quicker, I think is what people are thinking.
And that's cool.
Yeah.
If you fronted the $2,000 to use
this
the
is my
VIP
fast
pass.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I take an ambulance. I will pay
would walk
for
in
it.
there with my finger and at the waiting room, I'd be pointing at all those people waiting when I got priority exclusive VIP
Oh
passes.
man, anytime I've ever been to the ER, I was ready to be like, I don't know what you need in order to get me the hell out of here, but I will pay it.
If they had a
will
second
do it.
window that said VIP access, would you be at it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then the last time I was in an emergency room, I had to do some tests and I was already like, okay, I'm already expecting to be here for a while. Not emergency for an ambulance, but needed happen, was after hours, was my only option. Here I am. And we will just bite the bullet and we're going to wait and we're going to do all the things that they're going to make us do. And we did. And anybody who's ever gone to the ER know you automatically get a port in your arm because they got to do blood work on everybody and they can't take it out in case they need to do more. Fine, I get that. Well, then all is said and done. Everything's been checked. Everything's good. We just need to wait for the doctor to come give you results. Well, now they have this convenient little thing called My Chart. And guess what was in My Chart long before a doctor was ready to come tell me? My results. Thank you. Can I go now? Can I go now? Well, doctor's got to come up. Can you take this out of my arm? I want to go home. And now it's like, you can't. Now you're like held against your will.
Yep.
And I was like, if I'm paying you, then I get to say when I can leave this hellhole. Take it out of my arm. I want to go home. Nope. We got to wait. I
think it should be mandatory that they have a little sound board next to them. And anytime that they're doing something that has a cost result, they have to hit like a cash register ring. So it's like, would you like a blood test? You're like, yeah, I'll do that. Cha-ching. Like, Why don't you step on the scale? Cha-ching. Do you want to see a doctor? Cha-ching. At least you know when you're spending money through that process.
Yeah.
Because they bundle it up and just send it out to the insurance company.
You know what else I would demand?
What?
If I go to a doctor's office and the first thing they say is, go ahead and get on the scale so we can get your weight. And I think that they are in any way going to use that number to make a decision about my health. Let me take off my shoes and my coat and my jacket and whatever else. Like, why you just step up on a scale fully clothed? I always tell them, can we subtract like 5 pounds for everything I'm wearing? Like, to me, all that does is scream, this doesn't matter. This is unimportant. This is just a what do you call it? Formality. And we're just doing it. And then I'm like, how many of these am I paying for? How many pointless things am I paying for? And that's a small example. But to me, all it says is, you're not even taking this seriously. Like, it feels like such a waste of time. And I would rather pay and go somewhere that I know everything we're doing has a point and has a benefit, and I'm getting good value.
If they had to dose you with some kind of medication and you just happened to be wearing your scuba belt and you were 20 pounds heavier than whatever, and they dosed you based on how they weighed you at the beginning, that'd be a bad deal.
Oh, yeah. I one time down south, when we would have to go to a military hospital, which sucks.
Yes.
I needed a medication based off of my blood type, and they put the wrong blood type on my records. And I was like, do you think that was important? Probably was.
You didn't need a blood transfusion. It didn't even matter. Why are you so uptight?
It wasn't life-threatening, thank God. But I was like, that's kind of an important thing to get right. It's kind of an important thing that you have the correct blood type on my medical records.
Lower the volume of people who are going in there so you don't have to deal with thousands, get down to hundreds, so they can pay attention more to the customer's needs. And it's more service-oriented, where if you walked out of there thinking, they saw me sooner, they didn't make me wait in a waiting room for an hour, they did the paperwork, they really fussed over getting the details right. The doctor came in and saw me within 5 minutes. And the nurses, they knew exactly what they were doing. When you work on a manageable level of patients that you have to see, we just have too many unhealthy people that have to go do the thing that you're doing, and they get into the way of all of the service. Multiply that by 1,000, and that's what you get with social medicine. Socialized.
Oh yeah, I've sung the praises before of Mercy Health in North Lima, and while I do see a lot of needless things, always have to have a follow-up, even when it's not necessary, always blah, 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 fine. That place, I am in and out faster than any office I've ever been in. I've once gone to see a doctor, and from leaving my door, getting in and seen, and back in my door was like 1 hour. Unbelievable times. They don't rush you. They actually listen to you. They ask you, do you want to do this? We could do this testing. I think it'd be beneficial. Yes or no. And even if they're like, I need to send you for this test right now, I'd say, well, I've got to get back. It's not an emergency. Can I come do this in a little bit? All right. They'll work around that. Like, I would pay anything to make a good, well-run office my care.
So if you go to a restaurant, you have a 6 p.m. Appointment to be seated, and you walk up to the hostess and say, it is 5:59 and I am here for my seating. How long would you expect to wait to be seated?
Not
before
long.
You start pitching a fit.
Oh, I'll give you a few minutes.
If they don't,
yeah.
They better have a great explanation. Then I'm going to be like, okay, that's beyond your control, because you knew what time I was coming. I gave you ample warning. You need to figure it out on how to logistically seat people, because that's what you do for a living. If you walk to a doctor's office and you have a 3 o'clock appointment and you show up at 2:59, right? How long before you get seen by a doctor before you start pitching a fit that they need to see you? What, 2 minutes, 3 minutes? And now lowered expectations.
Yeah.
Would you wait an hour for your 2 o'clock appointment before you're like, hold on, dude, I said I'd be here at 2. I am here at 2. I want seen right now. And I put my carrot hair on and I said, I want to talk to a manager.
Yep. That happened to me one time. I went to the doctor's, was right on time for my appointment. I think I even showed up early for paperwork, whatever they make you do. 45 minutes later, they come out, they call me, and I'm like, freaking finally, just to say, doctor got called into an emergency and we have to reschedule you. I'm like, just now? Because my appointment was 45 minutes ago. Why is the now emergency? I should have been done here. Like, oh, so mad. So mad. And I'm like, again, I'd pay to go.
They don't have to compete.
Yeah.
They don't have to compete. All right. The Epstein files. Last Friday.
The Epstein
The dump.
files.
Did you see? I think his name Brian Krasikstein and Stan. I made up that last name. But
I'm like, who?
These two brothers, they're short like me. They take a lot of heat. They're super liberal. They're a little bit brain dead. But here's what they are postulating. They got a copy of the PDFs for the redacted version of the Epstein files. And they fed it into some coding that basically removed the redaction, and they can see the information that was redacted. And
so anything we see blocked out in black,
yes,
they can take that off.
Yeah, they took that off, and it was just raw text. Now, this Brian guy, he's a captured liberal, and there's nothing more that this group wants than for Trump's name to be on a big sign, right?
Yeah.
Just all over. They don't want to out the people who broke the law. They have one focus, and that is we got to make sure Trump is part of this. So if it were anyone other than Brian, I probably would give it some credibility. But my brain automatically turns off this whole, whether it's credible, and I don't know that it's credible or not, but you've thrown everything at this guy and you've been gunning for him. So you coming out with it probably wasn't your best prospect for the pitch, right?
Yeah.
If it would have been Department of Justice or some rando that was somewhere, I would actually look through it. Now, I looked through the unredacted version of it, and Trump's name appeared like 30 plus times in one page. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I have read legal documents, and the time they spent on accounts repeating the person's name seemed like it was way out of line, as to it didn't feel very believable in what would happen if there were an investigation or a deposition of some kind. So it felt a little hokey. Like if Brian had a wet dream about what this document looked like unredacted, that would be it. It was too good.
You're like, yeah, this is a little too on the nose for what you're expecting.
Yeah. And then one of the documents that came out was and I hate these anonymous sourced things that get discredited, but they keep recycling as if they're new. So if right before the last election or the 2016 election, this anonymous source said that Trump did all of this thing and he had inappropriate relations with a woman. And when it was investigated, it was pulled. Like it didn't go anywhere. There was no civil, there was no criminal investigation. But the way that it's written keeps circulating as it's a brand new thing, right? It wasn't already discredited. There wasn't any glaring red flags in it, but that came along with the Brian unredaction deal. So they are pulling out of the stops. They need Trump to be part of those Epstein files release, and I'm unconvinced at this point.
Yeah, what feels so fake to me is, like you said, they release something and it's just Trump, 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 Trump. Before that, all these pictures we got are Clinton. Look at Clinton doing this. Look at this Democrat doing this. And it's like anybody who is so clearly to one side releases anything, it's always painting the opposite side in a bad light, which screams to me this is false or fabricated or half truth or whatever. Because when is somebody going to say, look what I found of someone who's actually in my own party? It's never that.
Reasonable people, when we read through that document that had hundreds of people who were involved in this, we would see a sampling of like all kinds of different political stripes and different levels of executives and financiers and whatever. That would be believable because it outed everyone.
Yes.
For it to be one person targeted, nobody else, like if it was just Trump and Clinton, very, very convenient. And that's why, to me, it's not believable because I expected at least 100 names.
Yeah. Carter says, wanted to say Merry Christmas to Joe, Kelin, Emma Lobros, and Julie. Thanks for the daily education and fun.
You're welcome,
Thanks,
Mr.
Carter. And Julie says, others have done the same thing. It was some young kids that figured it out. This is how inept our government is. Some young kids figured it out?
So the people who figured out how to unredact some of these PDF files were just formatted. So basically you have a PDF document that has the text. So now I need to clean it up and make sure there aren't any victims that are in part of that. So if I go into a PDF creator, I can take and highlight certain text, right? And I could just put a redaction over top and then lock the document. Well, it can't be reverse engineered because that text doesn't appear in the coding of that document anymore because it was redacted. Well, what they did was as an unlocked document. So they made the change to have it redacted, but the text was still sitting underneath there. So when you look at the actual code underneath that PDF, it just showed like, HTML where it says like redacted in brackets and then the text and then unredacted. It had the text that was supposed to be in there. And apparently it was readable. But again, I don't trust it only because of how sweet the honeypot was. What it
and
said.
do you think our government would be inept enough to not catch that? Or do you think, hey, that was a little too easy for someone to get this? Could it be someone was dumb and didn't hide something or
purposely circulated that out there?
Yeah. We're not dumb. We know we're the freaking government defense department. We have the brightest minds in freaking security. We know how to hide things. We know how to hide people. And we couldn't have done that.
Oopsie,
I guess you just got this information.
So we do play a game in government, and it's called nefarious or inept, right?
Yeah.
Do we have
nefarious or incompetent?
Stupid, right? Or do we have evil? And you have to play this game. Like if the CIA would make a mistake and let someone die, right? Oops, the guard didn't show up that day. You have to play the game as like, did they purposely have the guard there? Maybe not making the person die, but increasing the chances of that person dying.
Yeah.
And when it happens, they're like, oops, forgot about that little detail. So either you have to say, our government's too stupid to do anything right, which most of the time I believe that it's just dumbness. But I also think the swamp creates a lot of really nefarious people who do on purpose have plausible deniability where they can say that was an oopsie and I didn't try to do that on purpose, but still benefit from whatever happens without having to take any of the downside on it. So if Nancy Pelosi was like, all right, we got to, I have no Nancy Pelosi.
I was like, I don't know if that's Nancy
But I'm going to change it. This is Nancy Pelosi talking. All right, here's what's going to happen. All of Trump's people are going to come down here and they're really pissed off. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to unlock all the doors. Wink, right? And then so if they ever want to come in here, the doors are all going to be unlocked.
Yeah.
And they might come in here. Well, if you're defending against the Capitol and there's a threat, then you would lock all the doors. If you would unlock them and prop them open and have people waving people in.
And not hand out bottles of water.
That means that you sort of want one outcome to happen, but also being able to deny that you really wanted that thing to happen. Increase the probability, be able to defend against it and say, no, I really didn't want that to happen. Yeah, but didn't you put like a red carpet and prop the door open and give them waters and put a sign out there that said, welcome, walk right in, right?
Yeah.
That kind of thing. So
I still kind of wonder too about the whole, the texting scandal. They like Hegseth and Gabby and all them that like we're all in the hot seat because
not Periscope. What was that?
You know what I'm talking about, where they shared information via this chat or whatever. I can't help but wonder, again, dumb move or distraction.
Oh, well, let's play that game. So what's likely when you lay that out, you have most politicians that I know are not tech savvy. Do you know who takes care of like their tech policy?
Who?
They have people in their administration that basically set them up. They tell them what to use and where to sign, and they do all of the back end stuff. They make the appearances, but their staff sets everything up. And so if I was, what are they responsible? Is it the politician that's responsible for the policy or the administration? Or is there a demarcation between the two? The politician pays the ultimate consequence. So if I'm like, here, I want to get Pete Hegseth. I hate him. I want him to resign. I want to set him up. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to get to a staffer and be like, dude, you're an intern. You're part of this group. You can roll out policies. He'll listen to you. Here's what I want you to do. And I'm going to protect you from it ever being known that you are the person that set this up. I want you to set up a group chat, right? And this is congruent with how we use secure channels. But what I want you to do is accidentally add a couple people to that chat that shouldn't be there. They won't even notice it. All you got to do is add them. Won't log in from Pete's account. They'll think Pete logged into it. They'll never know. And if you do this, I'm going to give you an appointment in this other person's. Instead of just being an intern, you're going to be part of the official staff. How hard would it be to get a low-level, underpaid intern to make a change like that? Just no punishment. You'll never know it was them. They don't have credentials to log into that secure chat, but they can log into the person who doesn't know technology very well very easily. That is very likely that was the swamp who affected that chat. Now, you hold accountable to the politician. You expect them to be smart, and so they can't say, hey, I don't know this technology thing so well, and I'm dependent on my staffers to do that for me, because you look like a freaking moron. But I think they're both inept because they don't know the technologies they should, right?
Yeah.
At the same time, somebody behind the scenes was nefarious and totally worked them over because of your ineptitude.
Or
Ineptness. I don't know.
Or did they all know exactly what was happening, made it just a big enough deal to get national attention and a slap on the wrist, but not actually give enough information away to be hugely detrimental?
What would the upside be to invite a detractor of the Trump administration to the group chat? What would be the upside of that?
It's a distraction for something else they were doing.
You can create an easier distraction than put a critic and make them privy to strikes that were happening that had national security involved. That's not likely.
I don't know.
I think that was somebody working within the team that was compromised that did that. And then Hegseth didn't pan out that way. Hegseth didn't resign, or he didn't get in trouble for it.
Yeah.
So, but we never knew who the real person that subscribed Mr. Media person to that list. It was a dumb move. And I'm sure now there are different people managing how they communicate with one another.
Oh, I would think so.
Yeah.
Hope so.
Yeah.
Julie says, Merry Christmas, Carter. The same to Joe and Kelin. I truly appreciate the best 2 hours on radio. And Joe, eat a cookie.
Not eating it.
Yes.
No cookie eating.
Thank you, Julie. You're already sick. You can eat a cookie.
No, I splurged and ate pizza when I knew I had a tickle in my throat. I knew I was
now
not
you're
helping.
full blown ill because of pizza.
Pizza probably didn't hurt. It didn't help things.
You just fed it. You
It did.
fed the virus.
Glucose went up, and those viruses are like, yes, multiply.
They're
Do
like,
it.
yes. Oh,
Exactly.
mwah.
So now I'm going to fast for the next 2 days because I need to pay penance for making bad decisions.
Carter says, also, the reporter that was accidentally copied into that chat when he saw what it was should have said stop. This is classified info that I shouldn't see.
But to be part of a scandal when you're already critical that makes the administration look bad, I'm not bowing out if I got accidentally added to that.
And yeah, reporters are sort of,
He didn't hack
they look
in.
good if they have a big story.
He didn't hack in. He was invited. So it's not like it's up to him to say, dumb people in government, I'm not supposed to be seeing this.
Yeah.
Remove me, please.
Morally, sure. Professionally, he's like, cha-ching.
Yeah.
This is going to be huge, and I'm going to break this news story, and I'm going to be all over. And
that would be like Saturday Night Live can make so many skits over dumb shit like that politicians do. And I think everybody should be lampooned for being stupid, and that was a stupid thing.
Everybody should be lampooned for being stupid.
That's bumper sticker worthy right there.
So we've said we think the whole Gulf of America could have been a distraction.
For sure it was.
Let me throw something to the media, get everybody all heated up over something, get them fighting over it so that I can go and do this.
Yeah.
You don't think they would maybe do that larger scale?
Well, they don't have to. They can take things that don't matter. Like, let me rename a building, the Kennedy Center, the Trump and Kennedy Center.
Yeah.
How many news cycles got taken over by that? Like, all you got to do is put some lettering on a building, and then you don't have to do anything.
He built a ballroom, and look at how everybody covered that.
So yeah, you do not have to get complicated to make the media distracted. So I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't take that risk.
That's true. That would be pretty risky for something that could more easily be done smaller scale.
For sure.
Just call someone piggy and it's a feeding frenzy for the
media.
They
know what to say to get a week's worth of news coverage, no matter good or bad. And they don't have to dick with complicated things that are dangerous. That's all deep state stuff.
Like speaking of things the media wants to run with, is Trump actually trying to do anything that could in any way give him the ability to run for a third term? I keep hearing that too.
It would take an act of Congress. Unless you
literally, not the expression.
Yes. And so if we got to, let's just say, the end of term number 2, and he's reading the Constitution, is like, listen, guys, I need to figure out how to stick around.
We've got a lot of momentum here. Doing a lot of good things. A lot of good things.
Steve Miller comes in and says, I got a great idea. You can stay as president if we attack Venezuela, if we just nuke the shit out of them, right? Yikes. All we have to do is set it up so right before the election that they did something bad. They're doing stuff bad every day, but we're not going to use all the bad stuff until that moment. And we're going to be like, oh, they've got submarines with fentanyl that they're sending into the Caribbean, right? Yeah. That is a warrable offense because they are terrorists. We declared war on them already. Let's hit a strike. Now we know Venezuela is ready to strike back. They've got all their planes and boats and armaments and whatever ready to mix. If we storm the beaches of Venezuela, they're ready for us. And then Trump's like, okay, we got to make sure nobody dies. So when they go on the beach, nobody gets killed, right? But if we're at war, I can keep being president. I could see something like that play out.
Do you think he wants to keep being president?
Is he a narcissist that loves this shit?
How even in his 80s, he's still going to be like,
I don't think he will do that because that's very temporary and it's really bad for Republicans going forward. If you want to insulate Democrat control for the next decade, then you do some shit like that. It's more likely you get to the end of the term and set up that you have all of your appointments that are all very pro-MAGA, very pro-Trump, and work through the proxy of J.D. Vance to become the president and take all of your policies and spill them into him. That's
I was going to say, it looks like, Turning Point USA, I'm pretty sure has said we're backing J.D. Vance and we're going to make him the next president. And
put it in the envelope. It's going to be J.D. Vance. And if they make it through the midterms, the whole thing changes. If we get the midterms and we get a shellacking, energy prices have come down, payrolls have gone up, the cost of living, like all the numbers on the economic side are good, but it's going to take time for all those.
Military got a huge bonus.
It's going to take time for all of those realized, cost savings to roll out into grocery stores and retail. If it's expensive going into this midterms, it's a shellacking. I can guarantee it.
A shellacking.
So we're hoping. I heard last night, and I don't know this to be true. Maybe someone listening here. Did Jerome Powell get fired yesterday?
I don't know. Who's that?
The Fed chairman. I was at a Christmas party.
I don't know.
And some dude said Jerome Powell was fired. And I was like, so who's in the waitings? Who's the short list of people who are going to take over for the Fed? And they didn't know. So this might be complete hearsay.
We can Google it.
All right, fine. I'll
Google it. And who is this dude now? He's the what? The Fed
chairman. No. Damn. Christmas party
Doesn't look
rumors.
like it.
Jerome Powell. But I think his term ends this spring. So we only have a couple more months of him until he's a stubborn dude. He's smart. Like I have a lot of respect for his ability, but because he doesn't get along with Trump and Trump doesn't get along with him, so he can't, I would question whether or not he would go beyond beyond the basics if it meant he would make Trump look good.
Hmm.
So do I think he was withholding rate decreases over the last couple of quarters? Yes. And he was very critical of Trump on why he was doing it, how inflation played into it, how the labor markets, played into it, and not very complimentary. So we need him out only because I don't think they'll ever play nice. I don't know who I would even put in that position, but that's going to be a very important nomination, and that's not going to be one easy to get through Congress either.
Julie says, Joe, my gift to you, try mullein extract, a plant extract that has been used for hundreds of years, lung cleanse and respiratory detox.
Sweet.
Ooh, yeah, I want to look into that. Carter says, there is no such thing as an act of Congress. They are useless.
Yeah, and as we've seen, and this did not happen during this administration, the bypass, it's supposed to be like executive orders should rarely ever be used. They're only used right now because of how useless Congress is.
Yeah.
So typically you'd want something done. The president would talk to his leadership in the House and the Senate, and they would negotiate what they think is sellable to the compromises of the other side. And because nobody wants to give Trump 2 inches worth of success anywhere, there's no way you can even take a good idea and expect it to go anything in Congress. So now, under circumstances, you're allowed to sign an executive order that does the thing that legislation should be doing for a short period of time. And then once it's enacted and we're working on those procedures, it should go to Congress and they codify it, where they take what the president already signed as an executive order and make it into a law so that it actually can take effect. He's signing thousands of executive orders.
He's like Oprah. You get an executive order.
Right.
You get an executive order. You get an executive order.
It's not the way things should work.
I mean, he was doing it with I can't remember exactly what it was, but it was something centered around St. Patrick's Day. He signed something for the Irish something. I don't even know what it was, but all kinds of stuff. He was just handing them out like when they sign little certificates for school kids.
Yeah, that's an overreach of the executive branch, and it's happening too much, and I'm very uncomfortable with it. This is reserved for the legislative branch, but I'm also uncomfortable with the judicial branch, where they can overstep and start putting injunctions on the executive branch, stepping over their power. So there's this power dynamic of everybody's misbehaving, and some, 2 6-shooters on the belt needs to come into town that knows what the founders intended and make this shit right, because we can't have the judicial overstepping their bounds and the executive overstepping their bounds, and the legislature are just a bunch of people looking at the lights and shiny things in that place.
Joe,
can't get anything done.
Did you just call for violence against the legislative branch? You want people to walk in there with guns? I'm being the internet. I know what you meant by that. I'm just being the internet. Julie says he isn't going to make it that long.
Jerome Powell?
I think she meant Trump. Did you mean Trump lasting a 3rd term? He isn't going to make it that long? I think that might have been weird.
Yeah, and no more old dudes. Can we please elect somebody in their 50s, maybe?
JD Vance.
Yeah, that'll be the first.
He's probably the youngest.
That would be the first non-senior citizen in my lifetime. Well, Brock was kind of young when we put him in there, but everybody else are these old people that, if you put something important and confusing in front of any one of those presidents, they'd be a complete disaster trying to figure it out. So when you picture the intelligence of the person, if you're like, hey, here's a VCR, program this shit, anyone that's scrambling because they don't know how that gang-fangled young people stuff works, that's who we had as in the executive branch.
So JD Vance running against who, do you think?
Gavin Newsom.
You think so?
Yeah.
Gavin Newsom.
It'll never be Kamala Harris.
That ship has sailed, I think.
Way sailed.
I think even for her.
She's still trying.
Really?
Yes, she is.
Good grief.
Yep.
AOC?
See, she's dumb as a box of rocks. But her and Bernie really have a good group of those pro-socialist, pro-Marxist people, and they can get people to show up. So I wouldn't be surprised. She's got hotness behind her. I mean, she is. I mean, at least at some point, she She had some fun bags. She was pretty good looking.
Had some fun bags.
Yeah, she got some fun bags. She was pretty good looking. So she could attract male voters because of how she looks. She opens her mouth and she ruins all of
I was
that.
gonna say, I've never heard anyone be able to look past when she opens her mouth.
So if she were a bartender, she would get hit on a lot. That's all I'm saying. Okay.
But you know what? Gavin Newsom is attractive.
Right. But again, if they were smart, they would go after their fringe, Bernie Sanders and AOC, vice president. I don't know who. I do not want Bernie Sanders as president. Maybe vice president.
Speaking
would
of
be
being
interesting.
too old, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. But I don't think that's going to be our option. I think it's Gavin Newsom as a shoe-in.
Gavin Newsom versus JD Vance.
Yep.
Do you think that would be close?
Again, it really depends on the midterms. Everything changes if we lose the House and Senate.
Speaking of Vance, so I saw this on the internet. I saw it on Facebook. It may not be true. So let me know if this actually didn't happen and I was actually just reading some dumb made up article. But I saw a quote that was supposedly from JD Vance. And there was a picture of him standing next to his wife. And he says, anyone attacks my wife, such as so-and-so, so-and-so, so-and-so. And he names all these other names. Anybody got something to say against her can eat shit. How do you feel about this current administration being a little more down to earth with their colorful language and how they put things? Do you think it's, oh my gosh, they're the leaders of the country and they should have decorum and they should have they should be bigger people and they should have some respect in their tone and what they say? Or do you like the idea of the vice president of the United States saying, eat shit?
I am very uncomfortable with important positions trolling and using colorful language.
Yeah.
But that is a reflection of where we actually are, like legitimately.
Yeah.
So I would say, let's turn down the temperature and reward people who are intelligent. If you look at the AOCs and the Ilhan Omar and that Hirono, like they're all brain dead. So there's not a shock that we have a bunch of brain dead people who do brain dead things. So surprise me and say, everybody across the board, I think I could bring us all together. Here's the unity, right?
Uh-huh.
This is an IQ over 100 type of election. And I want everybody to submit what their capacity for knowledge is, what the capacity for logic and, processing commands and processing information. You're below 100. I'm so sorry. You might be good. You might have some good connections, but you're just not smart enough. And then once we get all really intelligent people, and 100 isn't genius, right? 100's achievable. And so, but I think the baseline would, we want term limits if we did term limits tomorrow, like 3/4 of the House and Senate would be out the door. We put an IQ standard on there, 3/4 of the House and Senate would be out the door. So it almost achieves the same thing.
Yeah.
Right?
Julie says, Newsom, Buttigieg, not my dream team, but I think it would happen.
They both got mass appeal. And I'm with Julie on this one. I don't know Buttigieg. I don't think I think the whole woke alternative lifestyle trend really is waning. And I think they're going to go after a different crowd. So I don't think Buttigieg is going to be.
Yeah, I feel like they gotta do something that makes them look more middle ground.
Yeah.
Anything
100%.
that's too left, too right is gonna.
And that's why I said the Bernie Sanders side of things, with socialized medicine and Marxism and whatever, huge broad appeal. And you don't if you took the Buttigieg fan club and the Bernie fan club and just put them head to head, Bernie's got probably 10 times the amount of people who would show up for that vote.
Yeah.
So maybe it's Newsom and Bernie.
So who's gonna run with JD?
That's a good question.
Gifford. Is that her name? Gabby? Why am I having a stroke? What's her name? I love her. Gabby.
You don't even know her name? You must not love her very much.
Oh my God. I've only said her name 1,000 times this year. You know who I'm talking about. The X-Men.
Gray...
Yes. Why does Gabby sound wrong?
Now you messed me up. I don't even know.
Gabby
Peterson.
Holy shit.
No, we'll just call her Gabby Peterson. That's probably her name anyhow. So yes, Gabby Peterson.
Feels like when you go to introduce someone you've known for years and all of a sudden you can't think of their name and you have no idea why. Her.
Yeah, it's
And
much
JD
safer if you don't introduce anybody to anyone else. That's way
somebody
safer.
just. If I'm ever with you and I'm with somebody else and I don't introduce them, please introduce yourself because I have forgotten their name.
All right, we're out of here for today. What a nightmare. Can't picture that. All right. Have a good Christmas, everybody.
Yeah, Merry Christmas.
Enjoy the Grinches and the coal and all that kind of stuff. All right. We are out of here. Goodbye.
Thank you for listening to this show on Youngstown Studio. This is original Youngstown content. Feel free to share our videos and tell your friends about us. Don't forget to subscribe